A few days ago, I went on a wood buying road trip and I got a pretty decent quantity of elm, which is a really nice timber. Timber yards will say they sell it for furniture making. They never think to say or guitar making, which often uses the same kind of nice looking wood as furniture. It's not native to New Zealand, so it's not a wood that you get here that much. It's an exotic wood and it looks good. And a reasonably small cut-off piece is what we're looking at here, and I book matched it. Not perfectly, because when I resawed it, when I split the board, the cut line wasn't perfectly straight, and so I had to do a reasonable amount of thicknessing. But it's reasonably well book matched. I mean, it matches up. Not so much there, but I'm going to be probably putting a pickup there, so you won't notice that. So, as I said, it's reasonably small, smaller than a standard guitar, but not smaller than every guitar I've seen, and so I thought I would do something with it. So I roughly drew out a potential shape, sort of a teardrop. It looks terrible now that I look at this. Sort of a teardrop-ish shape. Teardrop guitars are interesting things. And I set to work making a template. I'll just put the top to side for now. And there's the template. It started out teardroppy, but I wasn't happy with that, and I'm probably going to hand sand that. It's not perfectly smooth all the way around yet, but I think that's an interesting shape for a relatively small guitar. And I even have an idea for the name of it, but I won't tell you yet because it might sound a bit silly. I've got a fretboard set aside for it, a nice one. It'll sound silly if I tell you now, but it won't sound silly when we get there. So, I guess I'll sand this up and I'll put together a body blank and then I'll get to work. So, I've got the piece of wood glued up there for the multi-laminate neck. What I'm doing now is another laminated piece that's going to be a center stripe in the body, which you'll be able to see from the back. Not from the front, obviously, because there will be a top on it. It's more than long enough. There's the template there. So that's great. I will not have to worry about that. Put the template aside for now. The wings of the body will be made from tawa, which is that white centerpiece there. Very similar, as I've said in other videos. I never know which order I'll be displaying these videos in. So you might have seen me say it already. If not, I'm saying it now. Tawa is probably the closest thing in New Zealand that you'll get to American maple. It's quite hard, it's dense, and it's very pale in colour. And the grain is quite similar too. And it's sandwiched between two strips of rimuru, which I was going to say it's a bit... This is probably the New Zealand equivalent of maple and mahogany, but I think rimuru is a little bit nicer than mahogany. It's got a stronger grain. Well, some pieces do anyway. I think this one does. Anyway, I like it more than I like mahogany. So I'll just glue this up, and then I'll get some wood for the wings and put that body blank together. There's that sandwiched piece there, that laminated piece, sitting between two pieces of tawa with some nice spalting type effects going on. But these pieces of tawa aren't full width because I have cut a strip off. In fact, that could be part of the strip there, I'm not sure. But in any event, they're not full width, and as a result, a little frustratingly, they're not quite wide enough to fit the whole template on. It is on top, but not quite down here. So I'm going to make this middle piece... Oops. Wrecking my template. This middle piece, which is laminated, 3 pieces, I'm going to make it laminated with 5 pieces, just by putting an extra piece on the outside, on each side. And I'm going to use that rather nice piece of sapele. Some people call it sapele mahogany, and they use it as a mahogany substitute. I mean, do that if you want to, I suppose, but I think that's a shame. It's a really nice wood all by itself. It's not mahogany, it is sapele, and it looks good. So I'm going to add a few centimeters to this, and then the whole body will be adequate width. almost time to glue the elm top on, but as I always do when I have a separate top, I have just done some cable routing in the body, so a channel between the two pickups and a channel from the pickups down to the controls. I'm not even sure what format the controls will be in, whether there will be a pick guard or a plate or a Telecaster style plate or even a cavity in the back of the body, but in any event I will need a channel for the wiring. So on to gluing that top on. It's a bit boring showing you me actually gluing the top on, but there it is, glued on and clamped up to dry. As I said before, I'm very happy with the white glue that I normally use called Weld Bond, but because it's like the most popular woodworking glue in the world, I thought I should get some Titebond. I did find a supplier here in New Zealand, so we'll see how this goes. I suspect it'll be the same as usual, which is rather good. Well, that glue job went all right. I have now also on the router table with my flush trim spiral cutter routed the top to the shape of the body. Not perfectly, because there are some glue runs, which means there are some bumps on the edge. So I have to scrape those glue runs off and then just reroute that part there. But pretty much. Elm, I have to say, has a really nice grain to it. That's quite lovely. This is looking promising. And don't worry about the fact that there's a gap in the top there. That's where I'm going to cut the neck pocket anyway. So that's completely fine. I like it.